Alright, I'm back with another video for the Geo Metro, whatever you want to call it. If you got a better name, comment it. I want to know. Thanks everyone for watching that first video. I did not expect there to be that much interest on this homemade Economox EV, but I love it. I love that everyone thinks it's cool. So now I'm going to do another video comparing the weight of it to stock, showing some video of it driving on the road on my commute to work, and a 0 to 60 test. So first I'm going to take you to last night when I weighed the car. So I got the Geo up on corner scales on all four wheels. There. Just showing the jack isn't there, so none of you can call me liars and saying the jack's lifting weight off. And the overall weight is 1930 pounds. And I know the stock gas version of the 3-door, 3-cylinder, 5-speed was 1650 pounds. So this is a little under 300 pounds of added weight. And it looks 58% front, 42% rear. So it's definitely front heavy. So it's not an ideal balance, and ideally you want 50-50 front rear split. So now I'm going to check the overall axle weight ratings. I've got about 800 on the rear, a little over 1100 on the front, to see if we're exceeding anything there. And it's quite hard to see, but the gross axle front is 1250, rear is 1212, so I'm not exceeding either of those. And so since the driver's seat is roughly in the middle, front and rear, I can assume that if I was put in there, that'd be 80 pounds added to the front, 80 to the rear, so I'd still be below both the axle ratings with me in the car. Add a passenger up front, and then it gets close to exceeding the front weight. That probably exceeds it by a little bit, but I don't think that's that huge of a deal. I haven't seen any performance handling issues with this car as is. If you put 4 people in there, you'd probably exceed both the front and rear weight ratings, but I don't think 4 people want to hop in a Geo Metro anyway, so that's beside the point. Alright, so I just got in the car. Hopefully this is a decent angle where you can see some of the road and some of the screen too. So I'm going to go ahead and start the car. All I do is turn the key. Let's turn the radio down. And so the main contactor is already closed, so I'm good to drive, but the screen does take a little longer to boot up. It takes about 20 seconds or so I'll wait for that. Alright, it's super cold out, so my range is pretty low, down to 4.5, so it's got about 35 mile range. That sound you hear there is the brake vacuum pump setting up. And now the brakes are pressurized, and it won't turn on again until I lose some of that pressure after braking a few times. But the part that blows everyone's mind is there's no engine idling spinning, so I don't need to clutch to start from a stop. Like, the motor only spins when I hit the gas. So I'm in neutral now, go to reverse, and just hit the gas, and I'm moving. It's dead silent. It makes it quite nice to drive manually, because you only have to worry about clutching when you're shifting gears while moving. Another cool thing is you can take off. I mean, I'm going to put it in third right now. It's slow to take off, but it does. This is actually how my wife drives the car around the city. She just puts it in third and treats it like it's an automatic. So it's cool that it's got that utility and function. And now I'm still in third. I'm coming up to the stop sign. I'm not even using the clutch. And I can come all the way to a stop and not stall, because the motor just goes down to 0 RPM. So I'm gonna go into first, just to have some more fun driving it. So it's got pretty decent torque. That was kind of a hard shift. And so this turn's always tough. There's always a ton of traffic flying by here. You'll see in a second. So having that instant torque in first is nice to be able to actually merge and keep up with traffic rather than a normal gas Geo where it feels like you're walking out into traffic, kind of a death sentence. So I'm coming up to this red light here. I'm just gonna let my foot off the gas and let the coast regen do its thing and send energy back into the battery so I gain range back. And it's quite cold out. I mean, my min and max battery temp are showing 0C. They actually don't show negative, so that means it's colder than 0C for the batteries. And cold batteries don't hold as much energy or aren't as efficient. So this is kind of a worst case driving scenario. And so when I'm just sitting here idling, I'm consuming about 2 amps at 110 volts, 220 watts, pretty minimal. My motor controller temp are like both 1.6, 1.7 C, so they've already gotten a little warmer just from that first mile of driving. Now I'm getting on the highway on-ramp. Third, going 25, 30. I'll take my time. You can see the beautiful Wasatch Mountains. We're about to get 4 feet of snow in the next 2 days. Not down here in the city, but up in the mountains. Alright, I bet some of you are anxious for me right now with all these cars going 70. But just gotta be patient, take your time. I'm in 4th now, going 45. And now I'm in 5th, going 55. I'm not calling that my 0 to 60 test because that had downhills, turns, and uphills. That'll come later. And now I'm going 65. You can't see it, but the steering wheel starts to wobble a little bit. No big deal, but if I push it past 70, it starts to wobble a lot, so 65 is its happy place. So right now it's only pulling between 6 and 10 kilowatts to hold 65 miles an hour. That just shows how light and aerodynamic this car is. That's why I get such good efficiency. It is quite loud inside. You can tell I'm getting passed by everyone. Everyone's in a hurry. I'm not. I'm the slowest car on the road. I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to break any records on my way to work and get there 94 seconds earlier. So this whole time I'm just cruising in the 5th, and I will be until I get off the highway, or if there's any slowdowns. So with the slowdowns here, again, I'm just using the coast to regen, staying in 5th. I'm not going to stall. Already gone about 5 miles. My range is now below 30. Again, this is worst case highway driving in the cold winter. I've seen this up above 50 in the summer. So when I'm speeding back up here, I am pulling 20 kilowatts of power. And then as I'm getting to my desired speed, it settles back down like 8 to 12 to maintain 60-ish. Oh, I've got the lane. Got the inside lane on all these guys. Passing everyone. Getting passed by a homemade electric Geo Metro. And it's time to get out of the way because they're all gonna go 85 now on the straightaway. See, there's one, told you. Alright, so my main battery temp is still 0, so it's either 0 or below. My max is only 2C. The cells haven't heated up that much. The motor's up to 16C. The motor always is the hottest. And the controller is up to 12C. I've always wondered if I draft a truck like this, follow it super closely, how good would my efficiency be? But it's not worth it for a dumb little nerdy experiment like that. I'll let someone else try that and report back. There's 3 flags up there. It's always my wind gauge. They're blowing at me, so that means I've been in a headwind this whole time, getting even worse efficiency. Oh wait, never mind, they're blowing the other way. I've been in a tailwind. Alright, so this is my exit. I've gone 12 miles. You saw I was almost entirely highway. I think 2 city, 10 highway. I still have over 20 miles of range left. I can easily get home. I have no range anxiety at all. This is my commute. I've done it hundreds of days, racked up thousands of miles. And my efficiency, actually, when I started was 4.5, and now the rolling average is bumped up to 4.6. So none of you can call me liars saying I get that good of efficiency with mostly highway driving. You've seen it for yourself now. So now I'm going to pull into work and charge if there's a charger open. There's usually not, because everyone with these Teslas and all these cars that doesn't even need the range to trickle charge on a normal outlet, they all plug in anyways for... I don't know why, just because they can. But us cars that actually need it, sometimes are out of luck, but that's why. I still have enough range to get home, so no big deal. Battery's up to 2C, 5C, 19 motor, 12 controller. All right, we do have a charger open. All right, so that's just a normal outlet. We put these cones over them, so there's no like water damage or stuff like that. It's just a cover. And I plugged my cord in. You can see I'm charging 110 volts, 13 amps. It's like 1400 watts, 6-7 miles per hour. So honestly, before lunch, I'm gonna be fully charged again. Easy as that. And when I see this green light flashing, I know I'm charging properly. So unfortunately, I gotta go into work now. But when I come out for lunch, we'll do the 0 to 60. All right, so after a couple hours, I'm charged back up. Now I'm gonna go find a good spot for that 0 to 60 run. Snowstorm's starting to come in, so it's not ideal conditions with the wind and the temperature. All right, so since this car weighs about 300 pounds heavier, that's obviously gonna make it slower on the 0 to 60. But with the electric motor, it's got like 110 foot-pounds of torque compared to about 60 on the stock gas car. So it's got double the torque. And then the power on the motor, at peak, I think I'm getting about 40 horsepower into it at peaks, which is less than the 55 that the gas engine had. So increased weight, but better torque and slightly worse power. So I think my 0 to 40 is going to be significantly better than the stock gas car would. 0 to 60, I think I might come in at the same or maybe even a little slower. I looked online and it said like 14.9 seconds for 0 to 60 for this car, which is the 94 3-door with the 3-cylinder engine, 5-speed manual. And then the quarter mile is 20 seconds. So again, this is not an ideal test because it's so cold outside with the wind, but at least it's a reference point. And I have a fairly full charge, so that's good. The voltage is higher, I'll get a little more power out. After charging, my battery temperature did warm up to 7C and 10C, so the cells are a little warmer. That's good. But I mean, all this is honestly splitting hairs. This car is slow. It's all going to be in the noise. And it's a very imperfect test. But it's still fun to try. Alright, so this is a frontage road alongside the highway that there's not a whole lot of traffic, so this is kind of ideal. It's really windy. I don't know how this is going to go. And this is also like as flat as can be. You can't tell, but to the right is the Great Salt Lake. So we're technically on the shores here. So this is a flat road. Unlike Salt Lake City in general, it can get kind of hilly as you get up toward the mountains. Alright, so I'm going to pass these railroad tracks. I didn't want to hit these tracks at speed. So I'm going to pass these railroad tracks and come to a stop. And I don't think you can see my speeds. I thought about doing this with some sort of like GPS app, but GPS is pretty inaccurate, so I'm just going to call out my shifts and speeds as I go along and then verify it with the video later. So I'm in first, and we're starting now. Second, 20 miles an hour. Third, it's 35, 40, and then fourth, that's 50, going to fifth, 55, and 60. I'm going to coast down, do the same thing the other way. Compare the times, because maybe the wind direction is affecting it. I think I shift a little early from 4th to 5th. You can actually feel the RPM hit its max limit due to the kV of the motor. So it's trying to shift just before all those, which is about 4,500, 5,000 RPM, and I think I shifted a little early, 4th to 5th. I guess I'm wrong. People do drive this road. I kind of feel like a jerk now. All right, I'm going to give them space because I don't think those guys are going to be going 60 on this road. All right, so I'm starting now. Second, 20, third, 35, 40, fourth, that's 50, 55, I'm just going to stay in fourth, 60. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it, is stay in fourth, because I could feel I still had power and wouldn't lose time on the shift. So that's it. Those are the results. It's definitely slower than the stock gas car. I'm not going to sit here and make any excuses or like try and claim that it's not. It definitely is. It might not be quite as slow as those results seemed. Some factors are there was a crosswind, headwind, tailwind going on, very cold out, was an ideal temperature for the cells, And I will be the first to admit, I'm not a professional driver, so my shifts definitely weren't ideal. So even though it's slow, it's still fun to drive. I've driven it for thousands of miles. Um, doesn't make me any disappointed in it at all. I'm still happy with it. It's a fun car. And if you want to reduce your 0 to 60 time, the two things you can do are reduce weight and reduce drag. And those are the same two things that will also increase your range. So on this car, the main things I could do to reduce weight are drop this battery down to a smaller one. That might shave 30 pounds or so. Could also get rid of the spare tire and the jack. That might drop another 40 pounds. And then finally, these battery cells are quite heavy. For the same amount of energy in like Tesla cells or other lithium, not Nissan Leaf, could probably drop close to 100 pounds and have the same range. But the big advantage of these cells is they don't require any cooling, and they can still be used below freezing and all the way up to like 52°C. Tesla cells really only work from 5°C to 45°C, so that means in the winter they'd have to be warmed, and in the summer they'd have to be cooled. So these are kind of in the sweet spot. So if I did add Tesla cells, all that cooling circuit would probably add a lot of the weight back that I just saved. The other thing is batteries are one of the more expensive components of a build, and these work and have lots of life left, so I might as well use them. By the time these actually need to be replaced, which I'm guessing these will last for another 40,000 miles or so, there will be much better battery technology that's hopefully lighter and doesn't need to be cooled. And at that point, it would make sense to swap it in here. But then to reduce drag, I've seen that if you put a skirt under there, I'll put the link in the description, but someone else had an EV Geo Metro and saw a 30% range boost, so that would certainly help with the 0 to 60 time. But I mean, the range boost would be more important to me. Anything that would get this up to like 60 miles range or something like that, so that's something definitely worth trying. So maybe I'll put a underskirt on it and record the results change after that. That's all I got for now. If you think I should test anything else or want to know anything else I haven't answered yet, leave a comment. And thanks for watching. I know these are pretty low budget. It's very no nonsense, no drama, and purely data driven. So I think most of you appreciate that, and that's why you're watching. So check out my other videos on my channel from past builds and current builds that are similar style. And if you want to see everything coming out in the future, subscribe so you get notified and you can see when the videos are coming out. Thanks.